We are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my LinkedIn live stream. We have a saying in Chinese. So please feel free to share in the chat window where you are watching from today. And anytime, share your thought or ask any questions, because that's why we're here with LinkedIn Live, where we can have some live engagement and real-time interaction. Thank you for being here, everyone. I see we have a few people here online. All right, so for the people who's the first time watching this, my name is XIAO-YU, Xiaoyu Cheng. You can call me Xiaoyu, it means sunshine in the morning in Chinese. I'm originally from China, as you see. So professionally, I work as a leadership and intercultural transition coach and a business consultant. I work with professional individuals and business owners who are in the process of or considering transiting their career or business into a new area or a new phase. I am here to support them in making conscious and efficient choices among the exciting opportunities while thriving in a multicultural environment. And we have a saying in Chinese. This is a project, LinkedIn live streaming project I'm doing now. Every Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Europe time, I come live here on LinkedIn to share a Chinese saying together with some of my thoughts and the reflections, probably related to my work, related to the people I work with or I engage with or I encounter on a daily basis. And the aim of this program is to share my Chinese language, the culture and the wisdom behind, together, hopefully bring you something to reflect, to ponder on after the sessions, after the talk. And the last but most importantly, like I always say, if you want to come in to share your favorite Chinese saying and how it inspired you, let's talk. I would love to have you as my guest speaker. And talking about that today, as you see here, I have my guest here. Today, I'm very excited to have Dann Justiniano join me as the guest speaker. So say hi to Dann. Thank you for being here. Great to have you. Before I welcome Dan to take over the stage, I want to tell you a little bit about him. So Dan is raised in Miami, and currently he's living in Bolivia, the city Santa Cruz de la Sierra. I hope I said it okay in Spanish. That's where he was born, and now he is back to the place where he was born. So for the past 5 years also, he has been teaching English to Spanish speakers. And before that, actually his professional background is mainly in the tech field, desktop support, help desk. And interesting, currently, actually, Dan is looking into opportunities to come back, to return to the tech field, especially in the realm of content creation and digital marketing. Outside work, Dan, he loves languages. I guess that's also one of the reasons why he is here today with us, with the Chinese saying. So he is native in English, Spanish, and he is conversational in Portuguese. And also he's working on his French, Italian, German, Hindi, Thai, Persian, and of course, Mandarin Chinese is also queued up here. So he was telling me he really enjoying this polyglot journey, and he'll be continuing learning and using the languages. And hopefully in the near future, he also hope he can make it to Asia in the near future. All right, enough being said here. So let's welcome Dan. I know Dan, so thank you for being here. And I know you mentioned you were with me with some of my previous LinkedIn live stream episode. And today you come on the camera, how do you feel about, being on the other side of this episode instead of an audience? Today you are a speaker. How do you feel?
Hello, XIAO-YU. Thank you for having me. Yes, I really enjoyed your past live streams that I've attended. I think it's very interesting. I feel a little bit nervous, but thankfully, live streaming is nothing new to me. So I'm getting more accustomed to it, and I feel great overall. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed your past live streams that I've attended. I think it's very interesting. I feel a little bit nervous, but thankfully, live streaming is nothing new to me. So I'm getting more accustomed to it, and I feel great overall. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed your past live streams that I've attended. I think it's very interesting. I feel a little bit nervous, but thankfully more accustomed to it, and I feel great overall. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
I really enjoyed your live stream that I've attended. I think it's very interesting. I feel a little bit nervous, but thankfully.
So then just before I hand it over to you, do you hear the echo from our talking? Oh, it's okay.
Yes, I do hear the echo.
So let's see, but I think it should be okay. So from now I will just mute myself and then leave it to you. I hand it over to you. Do you hear?
Okay, so good to go. Shall I continue? All right, thank you. All right, so hello everyone. Thank you for coming. And once again, XIAO-YU, thank you for having me. My name is Dan. That was a great presentation, introduction by XIAO-YU. So the quote that we're going to share today, it's a quote from Lao Tzu. And I'm going to say the English version. And XIAO-YU will share with us the Mandarin Chinese version. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I've thought about which quote to share when coming on to, we have a saying in Chinese with XIAO-YU. And I wanted to think of something that was definitely original to Mandarin. I thought of maybe a quote from Confucius or Lao Tzu. As some of you may know, Lao Tzu, he wrote The Art of War, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a book that I am currently reading in English, slowly trying to, get my way into being able to speak and to use Mandarin, not just in reading, writing, conversing with other people. And this is a quote that I've liked for the longest time. And I'm glad to know that this is an original quote in Mandarin Chinese. And that's the background of it. So first step, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Now, many of us, I'm sure, we've seen many inspirational videos. We've probably seen many, have had many conferences where someone talks about taking that first step. Taking the first step is the most important step when we start a journey, when we want to go to a direction, but it can also be the hardest. So in my presentation here, I have two talking points. The first one being overthinking, how overthinking can hinder us, can really cripple us into taking that first step, which is very important. And the second talking point is welcoming change, because part of overthinking is a little bit of the fear of change. And I think that once we welcome change, once we open our minds to accept all these possibilities, that will definitely help us take that first step to go forward. All right, so going back to overthinking, I'm sure a very classic example about overthinking many of us can relate to is, for example, when we make a choice, when we want to do something, we want to move into a direction. Maybe when we wake up in the morning, right, we open up our closets and then we have a whole list of options of what to wear. And that's where it all starts. Decision. What do we wear? Is it going to be hot outside? Is it going to be cold outside? What's happened to me many times is I'm aware, and in my case, I do overthink a lot. I know, guilty as charged when it comes to overthinking. But you know what's funny is those very few times where I say, you know what, I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to go and decide. Going back to the clothes example, I wake up in the morning, I don't check the forecast, and I put on maybe a shirt. I walk out there, and then it starts to rain or it's cold. So when we have those moments of making a decision on the fly, then we go, you know what? I should have thought about it some more. And then we go into overthinking. So overthinking is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a great thing. But as in most cases, when we go to extremes, sometimes thinking too much can become a hindrance. And in small things like choosing what to wear in the morning, what to eat for breakfast, and also in big things, maybe a career change. Maybe you're deciding on moving to another city, which is a very big decision. when to do it. We, especially us professionals, focus a lot on planning and making sure that we understand all the hypotheticals. And of course, we're not going to forget about Murphy's Law, right? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And as a result, we start to plan and overthink. But it's like an art. We can figure out when to plan up to a certain point. So that's where overthinking can be helpful, or when it can be a hindrance. Now, before going on to the next talking point, welcoming change, let's go ahead and go to the other part of the quote, right? The journey, a journey of 1,000 miles. So when we think about it, every single day is like a journey. We don't know what's going to happen. We have some idea of what's going to happen, but in the end, we really don't know what's going to happen. So that journey, all those moments, those 1,000 moments, those 1,000 steps, we are already going through it. And sometimes it may get to the point where our journey can become predictable or maybe not so predictable. And this is the part where welcoming change comes into play. I think that when it comes to making a choice, when you are in transition, maybe, let's go to something that we can all relate to, making a career change. Maybe this is something that we might do maybe once or twice in our life. Maybe more times, depending on how risky you'd like to play it. But that's something that we may come across. Now, as with any big decision, we have to choose about where we are now and where we want to be. And that right there is a journey. 1,000 steps. And the most important one is to take the first step. Now, right now, I won't get too much into those details. But what I do want to talk about is welcoming change. Because with welcoming change comes taking risks, because we don't know what's going to happen. And I think that one of the, I don't want to say negative, but one of the subtleties about overthinking is we see something as very risky. And once we see something as very risky, we either try to control it by overthinking, which in turn cripples us. We think, you know what? Maybe later. That's the danger. The procrastination, the putting it off. Maybe later. I'll wait until next year. I'll wait until the summer ends. But as we said with XIAO-YU many times, well, as XIAO-YU said in the previous streams, you don't have to wait. You can start now. And that's one thing that drew me into this series is we're all on a journey, and maybe we're happy with our journey. Even if we are, we could be more happy or not. We still have the choice of making change. So I'm going to share a little bit about my journey, and I'm going to go ahead and open up a little bit to you guys. About 2012, I guess about 10 years ago, wow. I was working at help desk desktop support, and it's something that I really enjoyed because I started that in college at the University of Florida. Go Gators. And obviously starting off something new, it was really exciting. I was surrounded by great people. I was learning how to open up laptops, how to change RAM, things that right now are helping me out a lot. Maybe it's because of my love for technology, even though we know now, most of you will know that there's hardware and there's software. I was more on the software side, but of course, I still like to, dabble into the hardware side. But I was in that for a long time, even after college. I jumped right into it. And in my journey, the thought came into my head. It might have come to your head. You know what? I've been doing this for a while. It's comfortable, but I'm curious about maybe trying something else. I'm curious about, you want to know something? A lot of us, we all, especially here on LinkedIn, we hear guys like Gary Vee. We hear all these motivational guys that say, you know what? You want to start your own business? You want to go and, be your own boss? Go for it. You can do it, And I had those ideas back then. I had a stable job and a promising career, you know, go ahead and moving up the corporate ladder. But in my head, I thought to myself, you know what? I want to try something different. It seemed risky. It seemed very risky. And I think that I definitely overthought it. I overthought it for some months, maybe even like a year. But to actually make that step was a tough one, because my partner at the time, I remember when I told her, I'm going to make a career shift. At the time, she said to me, I don't know, you know, you shouldn't do that. We're at a good spot right now. And there's also that. Overthinking is one thing when you're in your own thoughts, but what about the people you're surrounded with? We have to think about them as well, right? So these factors also come into play. To kind of wrap up my story a little bit, I took the dive. It was scary. And to be honest, since then, I haven't had such a stable job, but I've worked in so many different fields trying to, you know, check things out. And lately I've been teaching English in Latin America for the past five or so years. And what I will say is, on that journey, things that I would have never, I didn't expect to teach English. But what I'm happy to say is that teaching English has unlocked my interest for languages. And this is why we're here in this live stream. And it's amazing that we're connecting cultures, that technology is connecting us. We can be anywhere in the world. And from what I see going ahead, I see the journey is still continuing. And I encourage you guys to share anything with us, any decisions that you may have made. I know it's not easy, even if it's a small thing, such as maybe changing the way you commute. And I've actually done that. When I was commuting to work, I remember making the same drive. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. So then maybe I found different ways of driving, or it could be something even bigger. Because nowadays, hey, maybe we want to move to another country, to another city. That's things a lot of people share with us. Dan, I want to do it, but it's scary, but we can totally do it. And with that, I conclude my thoughts on the saying. It's a wonderful saying, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading more Art of War so I can get more quotes from Lao Tzu.
Thank you for sharing, Dan. Yeah, you know, when we say the 千里之行始于足下, right? Like we have here, like 1,000 miles, because when you think about, okay, I want to be 1,000 miles away, it'd be so hard to be there, right? So far away, so unreachable. But it's always about starting from 0 to 1, right? Like you said, many times it's because our own perception, or we assume, or we perceive something we always wanted to try actually is risky, so we play safe, right? And also many people I work with, or like when we talk about this, the people choose to stay at where they are now because they're holding back, because they are worried they will lose what they have been working so hard to be there. Like you said, right? You studied one major about the tech, about the hardware, software, everything back in university. So many people say, what if I do something else totally different? So my 4 years study or even more years study become a waste. So I better stay with that, right? People are really worried about losing what they work so hard to be there. Same with many people when they face, like you say, a change or transition, either with their career or with their even like a personal life choice. Like you said, when you choose to move to Bolivia from the States, right? I believe there's also lots of thinking probably, right? So how was that experience? Like what was like the last thing you decided, okay, I'm going for it. I'm going to move to Bolivia.
Yes, the decision was, it's something that I would have never thought about doing, you know, and I'm glad that I did. And interestingly enough, you know, as you introduced, I was born in Bolivia. Yeah. And I remember one time my father visited me and he just mentioned it to me. He said to me, you know what, why don't you come and visit? And then I thought to myself, you know what, I don't know why I never thought to do that. And then I guess that decision, that the idea, or as some would say, the seed that was planted in my head. And then from there, I thought about it. And of course, sometimes overthinking doesn't necessarily have to be overthinking in a worrying sense. It could be, I guess, in a positive way. You think, you know what? All right, this sounds like a good idea. You know, I can go down there. I can visit some of the cities, some of the surrounding countries. I could get more connected with my culture, with my heritage. And then that seed started to grow and it started to become something really exciting. So in that case, it was more of an of a easier thing. It seemed exciting, and it was.
Yeah, interesting. Because actually, I caught a keyword you mentioned because of curiosity, right? Earlier when you were sharing about the saying, I think it's also the curiosity, and also I like when you say sometimes the overthinking not necessary to be worry or fear, also could be like opportunities. Because some people, if you shift your mindset to see the opportunities, right? Okay, so what will be the opportunity bring to you if you pay a visit to Bolivia, right? Because still, like you said, that's your root, and you speak the language, and probably once you go there, you will figure out, there are different ways to do things. Because I remember in the end, you were saying on your way commute to work, you try different ways. It's just same like as many times I ask people, okay, so where exactly what you want to be, right? Oh, how about like what you exactly want from out of what you are trying to do? Or so someone say, okay, I try to get this job. What's next? Because there's something inside you exactly want it. That's the goal. But to get to that point, you can take a straight line or you can take a curve, right? Or you can take maybe like a U-turn or something. Oh, because the journey is also very important. It also matters. It also could be enjoyable, right? And we can be flexible to see, there could be different paths to get it from the where you are now and where you want to be.
Absolutely.
And because I myself, I used to also work as like a language, work in the localization industry, let's say in this way. So it is because I understand how language can help people, right? Through the translation, the communication. And then I figured there's more you can do after you master the language, right? Like imagine if I don't speak English, there's no way we start having this conversation today on LinkedIn, right? But that was a step. But imagine if back in years ago, I didn't start learning English, I didn't do the 0 to 1, we won't have today. It's probably today, I don't know, 500 miles. Oh, in the future, right? Same with you're sharing. So it's really like we say, the 1,000 miles could be sounds far away, but I always say to move from 0 to 1, that's already the start of the success, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And here I see in the chat window, Nicholas from Germany. So he was, when you were sharing, he will also say, yes, many times, sometimes actually it's we make up too many choices, right? Like you said, the overthinking. So I'm curious, because we're all human beings, let's admit, like we all have the time, like we start overthinking. I think especially when you really care about something, when you really take it serious, you tend to think more, right? You try to be perfect, try to reach your goal. So with your experience, Dan, what's your advice for people to try to symbolize your overthinking? You have 10 thoughts going on flying in the air. What's your advice for people? How can they make it simple or make it more like organized or easier for them to make the final decision?
That's a very good question. And one thing that I can say is that when we think a lot about something, just like you said, XIAO-YU, it's because we care about it. It's because we care about the choice. We care about the path that we're going to take. And maybe not obviously, and it's natural for us to start overthinking. Those thoughts that are out there, there's two things. Lately, I've seen, TikTok and YouTube has been filled with a lot more inspirational, much more educational content than ever before. So I'm happy about that. And lately, people talk about going for walks. Steve Jobs was known, and he even said so in one of his interviews, that he likes to go for walks. I think, I read it in his book as well, his biography. Mm-hmm. Going for walks for me, it helps me kind of just calm my mind, and it helps me take those thoughts and kind of just organize them and put them in a nice, maybe not so organized, but it calms down the thoughts flying around. But what really helps me out a lot is writing down, journaling. Now, most of the time we think when I have to write something down, we have to write down the complete thought. This is what I want to do. No, just write down some keywords. Drawings help a lot too. And you know what, sometimes when I'm really worried, when my mind is really racing, I take a notebook and I go for a walk. And as I walk, I go, oh yeah, this is this. Because the answers we have are inside.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's not so clear, and I guess this is why meditation has been, you know, it's been said a lot, you know, hey, you know, meditate, quiet your mind. The thoughts, the things that, the journey that we want to go to is inside us. And we can definitely find clarity just by analyzing those thoughts. So organizing them with journaling and calming them down with walking is what I would recommend.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's interesting. I definitely, when you say go for a walk, I was like, yeah, that's always, because here in Berlin, we have beautiful forest. Like one of my favorite things actually like go for a walk because, even sometimes I do my coaching session in the forest with my clients when the weather is nice. Because actually like even this science behind, because when we move our body, you know, our blood circulation works better.
Yeah.
And when we inhale, exhale with the oxygen, especially in the park and everything, so actually our brain is like refreshed and rest. So actually the brain can function better, you know. So, and also like when you have all these different like a visual thing in front of you, different from like always the computer, the lights, you know, maybe green screen or something. When you go for a walk, you change the environment by setting yourself into the environment that help yourself to think better, to, like you said, to calm down your overthinking and everything. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's interesting, and I hope everyone today can enjoy the talk and the sharing from Dan. And so Dan, before we close up, anything quick or anything you would love to share with everyone?
I just want to say thank you once again. Really appreciate this. This is really exciting, and I'm definitely going to be checking out more of your lives. Look forward to seeing you showing us some more Chinese sayings in Mandarin Chinese. And I know I got to work on my tones. And for anyone out there that wants to learn any language, the biggest obstacle we have to overcome is our own nervousness.
Yeah.
And taking that first step and just to, you know, look at someone in the eyes and just say hello, hola, ni hao. You know, that right there is already a huge step forward.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And congratulations also on such a great success, right? You made the step, right, to come on the camera and come and share with us. So how about I teach you how to pronounce, because you mentioned about the tones. So how about we do it now, make the step?
I would love to. Let's do it.
Okay, so repeat after me. 千里之行.
千里之行.
Yeah. 始于足下.
始于
足
下.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the tone. When we were in school, we used to talk with the finger, like 千里之行. Yeah. So thank you again, Dan, for being here, and thank you everyone for watching. And also later, if you are watching the playback, thank you for being here. And this is my Lincoln Life series. We have a saying in Chinese. So every Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Europe time, I will come here to share a saying and some reflections with you. And if you would love to come here, be a guest speaker, just like how amazingly Dan have done today, he's sharing today. So please reach out to me and let's set up a time. And I would love to have you join me. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.